Hi, and welcome to Hot as Hell with Chrissy. This is the podcast where we talk about the untalkables, the things that you're not talking about, but you really, really want to, the things that help you in your mind, in your body, and in your business. And I have a lovely guest with me today, Sarah Hayes from Embodied Wealth. Hello.
Hello,
Are you
lovely
all
to be
right?
here.
Yes, it's very nice to be here. We've just been talking about how we're in sweat boxes. My dog's ill. Your dog is going to be groomed. It's all fun. It's half term. We're juggling all the balls, but it's okay.
It's all fine. It's whatever it's meant to be will be, and it will be all fine.
It will be. So I met Sarah for the first time maybe a couple of years ago, but we probably became more acquainted, I would say, towards the end of last year. And then I started working with you for a couple of months in January this year. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us what you do and why you do it and how come you do it?
Okay. So, so I'm Sarah. I'm an embodied wealth coach, and I call myself an embodied wealth coach because I I'm a qualified financial advisor, mortgage advisor, um, bookkeeper, and financial mindset coach. So I've got a lot of financial experience behind me, 20 odd years or more,
Mhm.
maybe. Um, But the thing that's missing with all of that stuff is how we react to money on a bodily level. How that feeling of putting our prices up or chasing a invoice or doing the thing, making the decision around money actually scares us shitless. So lots of people get
Mhm.
themselves stuck and get themselves caught up in their own heads and don't take that step forward. And the bit that's missing in that is actually the somatic experience. So 2.5 years ago, I trained as a breathwork coach and an EFT practitioner. And I came to that to help my neurodivergent kids going through a really, really hard time, which meant as parents, I was going through a really, really hard time.
Yeah.
Um, and that as I went through that course, it was like, oh my God, this is the missing bit on the money thing. This is the bit that we're missing out on because so many of us as parents running our business, doing all the plate juggling that we do, you go from an argument with the husband or the kids to turning up an hour later to a client, not necessarily feeling your best, not necessarily in a place to function, but you have to give your best to that client. And then
Mm.
I found more and more of the people that I'm talking to with juggling all the plates feel that they're failing in work and in parenting and just in life. And we've got ourselves in a bit of a pickle. And we can do as much mindset work as we need to do, but mindset only takes us so far if those experiences and those underlying beliefs and narratives are held within our body. And that's what I do with breath. That's what I do with some of the tapping, although I don't tend to use the tapping as much now. Now I've got a bigger set of skills with the breath. I tend to use that more because we can go deeper with saying
Mm.
less. And that's what I love doing.
Yes. And at the beginning of this year, I did a couple of months' work with you.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to bring you onto the podcast, so I've talked about wealth with uh, Jess and Sarah on the podcast a few weeks back. Um, and that was talking about, how we as women, should own what we want in terms of wealth and what that means
Yeah.
to us. But I signed up with you and I remember going to meet you for a coffee. We were meant to be doing like a coffee morning and then just a few people couldn't come. And I purposely went because I knew you were there to ask you the questions about what you did. And it was about a 10-minute conversation. I was like, right, I'm going to do this. Yes. Because I wasn't happy with my relationship with money. And I wasn't happy in my financial situation, and I wasn't happy with the way that I thought and behaved around money and the way that it made me feel. And the way that you have helped me to change that is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's always nice when people say that because it's, you know, it, seeing the transformation in people when they just turn up and they're lighter and they're brighter and you can physically see that that weight that they've been carrying is lifted is the reason that I do this because
Yeah.
need we should be able to not only own our place with our wealth in that way but also understand that wealth is about a lot more than just money. And once we sort out some of the other stuff, the money comes anyway. But it's
Yeah.
and while we're keeping ourselves small and while we're keeping ourselves safe, I'm going to say the word stuck, but stuck and safe, our brains are designed to keep us safe. And if something doesn't feel safe, we won't move to what we need to move to or
Yeah.
want. The difference between need and want is very different as well.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I talk about that in my coaching as well. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you've just had an argument with the kids or the other half, for example, and a saber-toothed tiger is running after you. It just doesn't feel safe. And a lot of, my clients then turn to food or self-sabotage when that happens. And for me, the way that that was I don't know, displaying itself was burying my head in the sand a bit around finances. Yeah, which I no longer do.
So people
Oh,
either bury their head or they go and splurge.
yeah,
They go just go and
exactly.
spend to make themselves feel better. It's
Yeah,
still an
exactly.
emotional aspect that we're hiding from in some way, hiding from, disguising, ignoring, like literally head in the sand experiences.
Yeah. I should just say Henry's not very well, so he's up and down off my lap. And I'm very concerned that he's going to be sick in a minute. But anyway, we'll worry about that if it happens. Okay, so let's get to some questions then. Let me open the questions. Right, you talk a lot about building a business from safety instead of survival mode. And I guess what I should also say, because not everyone listening to this will be a business owner, they, but will be employed and will be, our age-ish, maybe a mum. So this doesn't just apply to business owners, but you talk about building a business, or I guess we could say a life from safety instead of survival mode. How do women know the difference between healthy ambition and constantly operating in fight or flight? I was thinking about myself when I wrote that one.
Which is a really which is a really interesting question because we're taught to be ambitious. We're taught to want the six, the seven figures, the big house, the big car, the fancy things. That's what the narrative is. And I think when you're in your 20s, that's a great ambition. And a lot of the women I work with are women of our age in their 40s that have come out of corporate or their whole business structure has changed because they've got kids and they're fighting different battles for whatever reason. And that ambition does not fill them with joy anymore. That ambition actually feels really, really scary and really, really disconnected from where they are now and what they actually want. So, this
Mm,
idea of healthy ambition at this stage in our life, because each stage of our life is different.
yeah.
So when I work with people, it's about what does success mean to you now? And it should feel expansive, it should feel curious, it should feel like energizing rather than you've set yourself this massive goal and actually your whole body's like tensed against it because it's so far removed from what you actually want. If we're setting goals that make us scared, and there should be an element of I like the word nervous sighted. If we set a goal, it should make us a little bit nervous, but
Yeah.
it should make us excited. It shouldn't be so terrifying that actually our body goes, no thanks. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Because it's just not going to happen. If you've set a goal, whether that's a business goal, whether that's a fitness goal, however that whatever that goal is, whether it's work related or home related, it should feel expansive. If it feels tight or urgent or just then there's not the right goal. And it
No.
might be the right goal, but it's not the right goal for now.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to work towards those bigger goals. We have to move towards it, that baby step process. And it's
Yeah.
like, am I walking towards something that I really want, or am I walking towards something that I've been told to be successful? This is what I should have. Because from the outside, they look identical. It's how you feel with it and how you process it that makes that difference between does this feel exciting or does this feel terrifying? And I
Mm.
think when we're in that space of perimenopause, there's so much going on, and many of us have got teenage kids and we're dealing with them and their hormones. And most houses are just a mass of hormones. And it's just, oh my God, that what used to feel, you know, inspiring and like was a drive is actually like, I'm knackered and I need to take a step back from this because it just
Yeah.
feels unbearable. And if we're setting
Yeah.
ourselves a goal that's so unbearable, we're never going to do it. It's got to feel
No.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So many mums and entrepreneurs wear like chaos and busyness. I'm going to say both, like a badge of honor.
Mm.
What does regulated success actually look like in real life?
It's quieter than you think. It's a
Mm,
lot quieter than you think. It's about you setting your goals, your boundaries in your way. It's a lot less drama. It's less adrenaline driven, which feels really wrong. We had this conversation when we started about how we want to make our day fit, about this is my day. I've got these amount of hours. How do I want it to be?
yeah.
And too many people say to me, well, I've got to do this at this time and this at this time and this at this time. And it's like, who says who says you have to do that way? And actually that regulated success is about us having that autonomy over our day and us to be able to say, I've had a really busy weekend. I'm going to have Monday off and not feel bad about it because
Yeah.
we run our businesses, we run our lives on our terms. And as self-employed people, we are in a very lucky position that we can say, it's been a really busy weekend. We'll clear the diary for Monday and Tuesday and pick these things up later on in the week. Now, I get if you're in an employed role, it's not that easy, but it's about being able to say no and put personal boundaries in place. It's about decisions feeling clearer, and you're not second guessing yourself all the time because you're not when you're grounded and you're regulated. You're not coming from this nervous system that's always on edge and always looking for the next thing. You're coming from it from a much calmer, controlled place.
Yeah.
And it's accepting that life does not have to be perfect. And a lot of us really struggle with that perfectionist in us. And so many women that I work with have this idea of perfection. And actually, when we let go of this perfectionist model, we give ourselves capacity to respond rather than flying off the handle and just reacting.
Mm,
It's being able to sit with that uncomfortable email, that uncomfortable conversation without spiraling, but without ignoring it and actually coming at it from a place of going, yeah, this is fine. This is just a conversation. It will be done in 5 minutes. I've done it this morning. I've had an incident with my neighbour this morning. And it's like, it was a difficult conversation, but when I said it, she was like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying now. And it's like, it's fine. But when we come at it from a grounded place, it's a lot
yeah.
less scary.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest things that that I implemented. And it's crazy because people might be listening and thinking, well, hold on, you worked with Sarah on wealth and finances. What's being regulated and got to do with it? And the thing that, and it's still a work in progress. I'm
We're
not
all a work in
there.
progress.
Yeah. Like today is quite a push day. And actually, I was thinking today and yesterday, you know, if I'd had a conversation with Sarah about today and yesterday, I think you would have challenged me on how busy I'd let myself get for the 2 days, considering it's half term as well.
Yeah.
But coming at life, not just work, not just business, but coming at life from this place of calm and controlled and they're probably not the right words, but regulated and for me, that means slowing down. It
And for
really
all of
means
us, that means
slowing
slowing
down.
down. We
Yeah,
we all do it. I did it. I've had two really, really busy weeks. And in that process, it's like, oh my God, I just need to clear the decks and follow my own advice here. But sometimes that's just the way things work, and that's just the
yeah,
way opportunities work and diary management. And sometimes that is just life. Sometimes we do just have to go, it's busy. But
yeah,
like this week being half term, and actually one of my daughters that is homeschooled, her online school's on half term next week as well. So I've got her at home for 2 weeks. Um, so I've got 2 weeks to kind of get myself back into a groove of not running around like a crazy thing, because
yeah.
you do start to feel it when you've done it for 3 or 4 days and you're back to back with stuff and you're like, oh my God, just give me some space.
Mm. One of the things I did last week was me and my husband went away for a night in and just the two of us because we had the opportunity to do that because Charlie was on work experience. And I never would have done that, I think, before I'd worked with you. Because I would have thought, oh, I shouldn't really spend money on that. And I can't take that time away from the business.
Mhm.
But yeah.
And you feel better for doing it and you're more
Yeah.
productive for doing it because
Yeah.
your brain actually stops. And I was the week before last, I was away for 4 days in Somerset on a um I had a retreat day, but I was also working with a coach to develop something that I'm working on, and actually taking those, although it was a working break as such, just being able to just concentrate on one thing. And it was
Yeah.
intense. I mean, it was an intense 3 days, but I only had to deal with that. I didn't have to worry about picking somebody up or cooking the dinner or doing this or doing that. I was staying in somebody's house. I was fed. I Everything was laid on. It was like this was a really nice opportunity for me and it was so lovely just to be able to start a thought, follow it all the way through to its conclusion without
Yeah.
somebody going, Mum, or the dog barking, or somebody knocking on the door, or being distracted by something else. It was just a
Yeah.
really nice space to actually have that thought process to be
Yeah.
able to follow it through.
I
But
love
we all
that.
have to do that sometimes.
Yeah. And I've been really thinking about how I can do that, like just go away for a couple of days on my own.
Yeah,
Um, okay, you work with neurodivergent parents and business owners.
yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about productivity, consistency, and motivation in our brains?
When you say you just need to be consistent, for most people, that's about following a routine. Now, neurodivergent brains, in a lot of cases, even ADHD brains, like structure. They like that framework of being able to know that this is how I work. But as we've just said, if we've had a run of 2 or 3 days that we're back to back with stuff, there is absolutely no point being at your desk at 9:30 and saying, I need to be here from 2, because actually there's a big chance your brain wants to be on the sofa watching Netflix, and
Mm.
that's fine. So it's understanding the way a neurodivergent brain works. Doing the same thing at the same time every day does work sometimes, but it's also recognizing that it doesn't. And when it's not going to work, because sometimes we can sit here and go, it's just not happening today. And it's giving ourselves the permission to go, it's not happening today. I'm going to go and walk the dog or go and do something else or go and do nothing. Because
Mm.
sometimes neurodivergent brains just, it's not that we're lazy, it's not that we lack motivation, it's not any of those things. It's just the fact that sometimes our brains are firing off at a million miles an hour and there is so much going on that now isn't the right time to try and write that newsletter. Or now isn't the right time to make that decision about do I hire that member of staff or do I take a freelancer? Or whatever the decision is. And the biggest thing I see with working with neurodivergent brains and from myself, um, shame. Shame is the biggest killer of productivity for a neurodivergent brain, for any brain, if we're being really honest. Who wants to be feel shameful about what they're trying to do?
Yeah.
Because the narrative for a lot of neurodivergence is why can't I just be like them? Why can't I just get this and this and this and this done? And it's like, okay. The other thing that kills a neurodivergent brain, and it's big in the online space in a lot of places, is this idea about boundaries. Now, as you know, I am all for boundaries, but if you've got something that needs to be done, who says that it has to be done at 10 o'clock in the morning? When
Mm.
your ideal is knowing our brains and knowing the way we work, but actually, you might be better to do this at 10 o'clock at night because that's the way your brain fires. You know,
Yeah.
I know you're really big on a get up and get done and get everything done early in the morning. That's my idea of hell. I'd much rather be doing it at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that whichever way this works, that's just how it works. And as long as
Yeah.
it works and the stuff's getting done and we're making progress towards whatever the goal is, it doesn't matter what time. It doesn't matter how and how all the bits work together. There's so many people that on, especially in the online space, especially mums in the online space, and they go, I just work 9:30 till 2:30. And you're like, good, crack on. If that works for you, that's fine. Actually, sometimes between 9:30 and 2:30 when the kids are at school, it's like, I want a nap and just
Yeah.
to take a little bit of time for myself. And that's fine as well. But we all have to just do what we need to do. And the thing with perimenopause and neurodivergent brains and breath is the fact when we're in that perimenopausal state, our breathing changes, which exacerbates and we get into an anxiety loop. So we breathe faster and more shallow, which reduces our carbon dioxide, which makes us feel like we're anxious, which makes us breathe slower and breathe faster and shallower. So we come into this cycle, which then just feeds that I'm not good enough, I'm shameful, I'm lazy, I'm all of these things. And that's huge because actually we just
Yeah.
if we slow our breath, take a moment or two or three or however long, we can actually be much more productive in a way that works for us, not necessarily in
Yeah.
a way that works for the system. And if we're self-employed, we don't have to work 9 till 5.
No.
You can do
No.
whatever you want.
Yeah. Um, okay. So we talked about like chaos and overstimulation and kind of trying to self-regulate. You've obviously taught me some of these things, but what are some of the simple and small things that women can do to calm the chaos without needing a complete life overhaul?
Just stop. Just stop. It doesn't have to be a long stop, but it's about that pause. It's about, where do you feel whatever you feel? Is it a fluttering in your chest? Is it a tightness in your jaw? With kids at home this week, I've just felt my jaw really tight. It's like, okay,
Mm.
that's fine. We can't necessarily do anything about it in that moment, but it's just noticing, where am I feeling this in my body? Our bodies will tell us something is wrong long before the brain catches up with, oh, okay. So some of the things we can do to help that tightness and or the fluttering or the tension in your throat or just that naggy weird churning feeling that we get in our stomach sometimes. Name what that feeling is before you try and fix it. I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm anxious. You're talking. I said it to my husband the other day. We was only in Sainsbury's, but he said, "Do you want this or this or this?" I'm like, "Just stop. You're giving me too many choices and my brain can't deal with any of them. Stop."
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, just stop. It's fine. So, from a breath point of view, and this is my favorite, are really simple. Just breathe in through your nose and breathe out really slowly through your mouth, like you're blowing a feather or bubbles in a drink. And it's about extending that exhale. When we extend the exhale, we are telling our body that we are safe. We are activating our parasympathetic nervous system, and it's all good. It's all fine.
Mm.
It's my favourite one. I sit in the car. I think my neighbours think I'm nuts because I
Yeah.
do it on such a regular basis. Um, it's just that, allowing that your chest to expand and allowing everything to just be. And again, if you hold your, you can see, if you hold your hands here, like where your bra straps are, and breathe out into your hands, that lateral expansion is so powerful because it just allows, we breathe, when we breathe in normally, we breathe like up and down, but actually, if we can breathe laterally, it's a really different experience. And if you can
Mm.
sit and do, I've got an exercise that I do that is sort of 3 or 4 lateral breaths and then 3 or 4 normal breaths. And just getting your brain to switch between the two is really
Mm.
good.
If you're listening rather than watching on YouTube, if you like tuck your hands,
Where you
it's
bra,
almost
basically
like
where
you're
you,
doing the chicken dance, isn't
yeah, it
it?
is like you're doing the chicken dance. If you put your hands on the bit where your bra comes around under your arms, it's
Yeah,
that bit
under
there.
your
Just breathe
armpits.
into your hands
And
on
try
that
and push your rib cage
hands
out so
apart.
that your hands are moving out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so that's really, those, that idea, because while we're focusing on our breath in that sort of way, where we've got a physical stimulus, there's no room for anything else to creep in.
yeah.
The other thing that is really good on a quick hit is a sensory anchor. So whether that's something cold, whether that's a smell, whether that's a song, whether that, however that is, it's just that sensory, even if it's just you go and run your hands under the water for
Mm,
a few minutes, especially while it's hot. I've lost count how many times my hands have been under the water over the last few days because it's
mm.
just so hot. Um, Stop. My big tip, where we don't, stop treating rest as a reward for
Or
finishing
a luxury.
or a luxury. And when I say rest, I'm not just talking sleep. Rest is so much more than sleep. Sometimes rest is a meditation, a breath work. Sometimes rest is watching Netflix. Sometimes rest is just reading a book or walking through the fields with the dog. Rest doesn't have to be just sleep. We're very quick to go, well, I get 8 hours sleep, I get enough rest. And it's like, do you? Do you?
Mm,
It's allowing those pauses through the day for our bodies to reset. Now, that could be a cup of tea in the garden at 11:30. It could be, it could be anything. Just those little
mm,
moments to go, okay, this is just me for this moment. And if you are in that like heightened regulation state, give yourself 90 seconds before you react. It's really, especially with half term, it's and the summer holidays coming up. Give yourself, because we're very quick to react. Our bodies go into that fight flight mode so fast.
Yeah.
But actually, if you can listen to them and not react for 90 seconds, you allow your body to feel that emotion and allow it to pass through
Yeah.
without that oh just no, because we're very quick. Um and we don't do it. We're
No.
so quick to react. Then actually if we stop, if we just stop. And actually
Yeah.
the and in that 90 seconds, breathe. Just breathe in and sigh it out. It's just it's just so nice just to breathe in and sigh
Yeah.
it out. It's we're so quick. But they're little
I
things that we can do.
I love the pause. Like that's so powerful in the work that I do because I have a lot of emotional eaters. In fact, I would say 90% of the women I work with are emotional eaters. And the pause is so useful, but not just in eating, like in so much of life. Like I kind of want to get pause tattooed on my hand, I think.
When I'm working with people that are compulsive spenders and we're trying to break that habit, um, my argument to that is always fine, great price, good offer, put it in your basket, leave it there. If you can only leave it for an hour, that's fine. If you can leave it for 4 hours, perfect. If you come back to your basket and it's still there and you still want it and you've done the all the thought processes that go with it, get it.
Yeah,
But it's Christmas is like January sales is when I get people that they've spent all the money on over Christmas and then they spend a whole load more money on stuff in the January sales and just feel awful about it. And it is that. Do you actually want it? And if we can leave it there for an hour and it's still in stock and it's still at the right price and we've done all the stuff, go for it. Get it.
yeah,
But it's about that pause. It's about breaking that thought process of enough, the emotional thought process, not just the thought process, that emotional feeling of, oh, I really want. If we can break it, we don't actually want it a lot of the time.
yeah. I completely agree with you. What happens to your business and your life and your relationships when your nervous system finally starts to change, like feel safe? What changes?
Everything. Everything changes. Your relationships change, your relationship with your partner, the relationship with your kids, the relationship with yourself primarily because you value yourself in a really different way. You stop needing people to behave in a certain way. You stop waiting for people to validate you because actually you're getting that validation from us because you're not always waiting for the next thing. And it takes so much pressure off of you, off of everybody else. Um, it just makes especially as parents, if we are calm and regulated, you know, everything else is a much calmer place. If we're flying off the
Mm,
handle and snapping and losing our shit at everything, it just cycles.
yeah,
It is that, oh, wet towels, and it's very easy to get frustrated by wet towels on the floor or, another pile of washing up. And it's like, but ultimately, they're kids. We did it. It's
yeah,
annoying. Yes. The world will not change. Kids will not change if we get angry. If anything, kids are probably more likely to do it the more
yeah,
angry we get because they're pushing buttons and getting a reaction. When they get a different reaction, they're like, oh, oh. Um, in business, we stop making our decisions from a place of scarcity. We make that decision around pricing, around boundaries, around visibility. from a really different place because we're not coming from fight flight. We're not coming from this place of fear. As you said, our bodies, our brains know no difference between the person that's just said no
Yeah.
on the text message or being attacked by a lion. There's no difference. But if we can be more calm and go, oh, they've said no, that's fine. It's
Yeah.
annoying, but they've said no. Um, it's fine. In life, you just start tolerating things more because actually, it's like whatevs. And if you've read Mel Robbins' book, Let Them, this is about that. Just let it be. It is about, you know, we can fight all the fights, but it's not going to change an outcome.
No.
Safety isn't just about dealing with all the hard stuff, though. It's about being able to deal with the good stuff too, and actually being really
Yeah.
gracious about it without waiting for something to fall apart. That without waiting for, well, I've done it once, I can't do it again. Because once we've done it once, we've now our brain's got evidence that we can do that again, and it becomes a cycle. Those things about cultivating um, compliments and just being a nicer person is so much easier from that regulated state. Um, and being regulated makes us more creative
Yeah.
because we want to find joy. And all of us, that is, for most people, that is our ultimate purpose, to be joyful and to be happy and to find the good things in life.
Yeah.
And it just makes life a lot less interesting when there's less drama that
I
we don't
think
need
as
to be
well,
a
if you
part of.
no, I think if you think about it, like creativity takes brain energy. If you're not regulated, if you are not stopping, if you are not giving yourself space, which is the point that I was at, your brain has no energy for creativity. And, I think it's fair to say I got a lot different from you than what I was expecting. I got what I needed, but I also got a lot of different things. Like I needed some of the practical, right, let's deal with this situation. But I also got a lot of, I've still got a post-it note stuck to my screen with my favorite breathwork exercises on them so that when the dog is puking and the kid is moaning about his sore teeth from having his braces
Crazy.
tightened. Can you see Henry's nose in the
Yeah,
corner?
just in the corner.
He's like, oh, I thought he'd fallen asleep, but he
You made eye
hasn't.
contact. Oh my
Made eye
goodness.
contact, yeah. Yeah, and it's fair to say that I got completely different to what I was expecting.
Because when
Um,
we blend the practical with the mindset stuff, with this identity somatic underlying piece, we wrap it all up.
mm,
That's where real change happens. Because the practical, you can have the best spreadsheet. You can literally, and I know somebody that creates amazing spreadsheets. Um,
I love
you can
that.
have the best spreadsheet. You can do all the mindset work. But if we're still beating ourselves up around some of this stuff and actually holding the money and earning the money and doing the thing doesn't feel safe, we're never going to do it.
No,
It's just we're just beating. We're in that cycle of just let's go round and round and round because and then we take more energy and more. Sometimes we do actually just have to stop
yeah,
to move
yeah,
forward.
completely agree. Okay, last one. So the work that I do, being hot and hot as hell, is all about becoming more unapologetic in midlife. So you want to look hot and feel like hot, own it. You don't have to apologize. You want to take up space, whatever that means. I think that can be a bit of a take up space can be a bit of a buzz phrase, but it's to me, taking up space is about owning your position in the places that you are. Um, what would you say to the woman who secretly knows that she's shrinking herself or allowing herself to become lost, but but desperately wants to not be like that? What would you say to her?
She already knows what she wants to do. She already
Yeah,
knows the thing. Whatever the thing is, whatever the thing is, she knows it. She's not
yeah.
confused about it, but she's terrified to take that step to change the status quo because she's been in that status quo for a long time and she will have been taught along the way that taking up space is dangerous. She'll have been told that being visible, being loud, being, especially in this neurodivergent world where we're too loud, we're too quiet, we're too much, we're too
Mm,
this, we're too that. I read something a few weeks ago that the average teenager with ADHD has been told by the time they're around year 10, so 14, 15, they've been told somewhere around 30,000 times to sit still, shut up, and be quiet in some way or another. That has a knock-on effect on all of us. And, you don't have to become somebody different. You don't have to stop apologizing for the person you are. You just have to feel safe with the person that you are. And
mm,
that's where the key starts. And the work I do around this idea of safety, this work around identity, this, why are we still chasing in our mid 40s something that we wanted at 2021? Our priorities are very different. And that's where that safety piece comes in because that idea of success and that idea of, you know, that idea of success is a very masculine idea. And
mm,
actually, as women in perimenopause, we really need to soften those edges. We really
mm,
need to be kinder to ourselves. We are of a generation where we've got kids, but we've also got older parents that we're dealing with. We carry a lot, and we actually have to stand up for us in this process and actually go, this is what I'm doing, but not
yeah.
in a
Suit
arty,
yourself.
masculine kind
Yeah,
of up,
yeah.
we have to stand up for because if we don't stand up for ourselves from a place of regulation, no one else is going to. No one else will step in for us.
No.
So we have to say, this is what I need. But we have to understand what we need first.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been, oh, Henry's coming back up to say hello. Um,
There we
Here he
come.
comes. This has been so insightful and yeah, I always love a conversation with you. Where is the best place for people to find you?
I am on Instagram as Sarah Hayes.embodied wealth. I am on Facebook just as Sarah Hayes. That's just me. Um, yeah, that's where I am. I tend to hang out in those places most of all. There's some cool stuff coming, especially for parents coming through in the next few weeks.
Have
So
you
yeah,
announced that yet?
next week will be announced.
Okay, fine. All right,
Next
love.
week, it should all be ready next week. It will be out next week, but it's very
Good.
exciting.
Okay, I'm really excited. Thank you, my darling. Have a
Thank
lovely day. I
you.
shall let you leave that very hot room now.
You seem starting to melt.
No, no, you look great. All right, everyone, please go give Sarah a follow, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.